I ain't gonna lie.
If Kirk were to pass away, would it really be worth letting him keep causing so much trouble in your life? Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away and put yourself first. You deserve to be happy and not dragged down by anyone, especially him. It's time to let go and love yourself more than you've ever loved him. Now it's time for you to weigh in. Kirk seems to turn to Jasmine when he's drunk and to Rashida when he's sober. Do you think Rashida should forgive him for everything he's done and stick by his side? Or do you think she has every right to stay away, especially since he chose to be with Jasmine? We want to hear your thoughts. Let us know what you think in the comments. There was never a fall from grace. It's more like they got kicked out of a bad situation. Let's be honest, grace was never part of the equation. Sure, people talk about the music, the bad boy legacy, and the hits that came out of it. But what about the artists? Black Rob, Biggie, Craig Mack. They're not around to tell their stories. Now all we have is everyone else trying to fill in the blanks for them. 50 Cent recently opened up in an interview with US Weekly, sharing why so many rappers are staying quiet about Diddy's situation. According to him, it's because they've all been to Diddy's parties and they're worried about what might have been recorded. Imagine not knowing there were 250 recording devices hidden around that massive house. But here's where it gets interesting. 50 Cent has been playing the longest, smartest game in hip-hop. Remember back in 2009 when Rick Ross was throwing shots at him, calling him Officer Ricky? Ross thought he was winning, but 50 was working quietly in the background, gathering evidence and forming alliances. While Ross was out there flaunting his Wingstop profits and luxury cars, 50 wasn't fazed. He wasn't reacting to the small jabs. He was patiently waiting for the right moment to strike. And when he did, Rick Ross was riding high, showing off his latest business ventures and flexing on social media, thinking he was untouchable. But that's exactly when 50 Cent decided to make his move. If you were following 50's Instagram the week before, you'd have noticed him dropping hints. He posted cryptic messages about how some people aren't who they claim to be, followed by a post that said, "Tick, tick, tick, time's running out for some folks." Finally running out for some folks. People were curious, but no one knew exactly what was coming. Then, out of nowhere, on a regular Tuesday afternoon when everyone was just going about their day, 50 dropped a bombshell. He released the tape and it shook everyone. It was a perfectly timed move, catching Ross off guard and reminding everyone why 50 Cent is a master at playing the long game. No buildup, no warning, just pure chaos. 50 Cent dropped the tape out of nowhere, no caption, no explanation. He let the footage do all the talking. Within minutes, the entire industry was in shock, buzzing with questions and speculations. But here's where it gets deeper. Rumors were already swirling about Diddy's infamous parties, and now the feds had reportedly found hundreds of hidden recorders in his house. If you were at one of those parties, there's a good chance you might have been caught doing something you wouldn't want anyone to see. Or did somebody's recordings come from the inside out? Or, even worse, now everyone who was there is keeping their mouth shut. They know if they did something shady, it might be on one of those tapes. Nobody's speaking out because they're terrified of what might surface. It's all about staying quiet and hoping they don't get recognized. The tension is thick and the silence is deafen nothing. What part of the game is that? They are not going to come forward and tell on their SN. Not at all. Ice Cube, he said it himself. Bro, he said that Diddy's been targeted because of what he said about those folks and those people. Now, the people who was on those tapes may feel like Diddy might be targeting them, because if he's asked about who is this? Who is that? And he's under oath with the federal government. You got to tell him he's not going to plead the fifth. Yeah, I know that. Got to be a terrible feeling, man. You did something wrong at Diddy Party, and you hoping and praying that it's not C on tap, but they don't think they did nothing wrong. That's their lifestyle. That's their lifestyle, bro. I ask guys all the time, if two men lay down, how many homos get up? What do you mean? I mean what I mean. It's what it is. The reactions started flooding in instantly. Industry bigwigs were calling emergency meetings, PR teams were scrambling to stay ahead of the story, and everyone who had ever worked with. Ross or Diddy suddenly went into hiding. This wasn't your typical diss track or old D mess being a hum. Out This was on another level. The level of planning that went into this, 50 Cent had been lurking, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Watching Ross rise to the top just to knock him down lower than ever. What made it even more insane was how Ross had no idea what was coming. Word is, he was in a business. 50 Cent caught Ross and Fork doing exactly what he spent years denying. The footage 50 dropped shows Ross in some seriously compromising situations with Diddy, and we're not talking about innocent business meetings. We've seen Ross at private parties, getting cozy with people he claimed he never even met. But the worst part, there's audio of Ross talking about deals that went down behind closed doors. Deals has been denying for years. In one clip, Ross is straight up bragging about how he and Diddy set up these special arrangements with up-and-coming artists. The way he talks about it so casually has people thinking this wasn't a one-time thing. Industry veterans who've seen the footage are saying it's the kind of stuff that could get someone black butt from the music business for good. What's really got everyone shook is how these tapes connect back to those old rumors about Ross's early days in the industry. You know, all those stories he's been shutting down about how he really got his start. Well, these videos are painting a whole different picture. We seeing Ross getting real comfortable with people he swore he never dealt with, talking about business moves he claimed never happened. Weird that the government was so interested in D's Babyall that they took the zero bottles away from his house. If the government took the zero bottles of Babyall and somebody had things would appear to be Babyall, and then you have to listen to the prosecutor, he said, they seized 1,000 bottles, what allegedly to be Babyall. So that's telling people that it wasn't Babyall. And people think that was Baby all day out. Their mind, I don't believe it was Babyall, yo bro, when they went up in there. They knew what they was gonna find. They knew what was whatever in that Babyall, or that those bottles that appeared to be Babyall. They knew about that at first. You got to realize 9 times out of 10, that individual that got caught at the airport, they was supposed to be. They carrier told them what they was doing and what they had. I wouldn't put him past that he told them everything. So when they went up in there, they knew. They knew they had to take whatever was out there, and that thing that appeared to be baby oil, they got to test every last one of them. Let's see how many of those come back to be baby oil. Bro, listen to me. Costco, don't sell that much baby oil. Sell that much baby oil. Yeah, I don't know. Any store that sell that much baby oil. I know Costco, they came out and said that they don't even sell baby oil. My sentiments exactly. But you personally, right? What do you believe was in a baby oil? Have you ever seen a massage parlor being raided and they walking out the people? Do they take the massagee with them when they go? No, they just walk out. The people who are being arrested, the reactions within the industry have been crazy. One executive who wants to stay anonymous since they're still active in the field said, watching these tapes felt like seeing someone's entire career unravel in front of them. Another insider close to Ross's label revealed they had to call ENT meetings because no one knew how many more bombs 50 Cent was going to drop this. Isn't your typical rap beef where someone leaks old DMS or releases a diss track, these tapes have Ross and Diddy looking super shady, especially with all the other allegations flying around lately. The timing couldn't be worse. Right when Ross is trying to grow his business empire and Diddy is dealing with his own mess, the real concern for Ross is how these tapes could impact everything he built. We're talking about his Wings 2 franchises, that new Checker deal, and those brand partnerships. Once corporate America sees you tangled in something like this, they start getting very nervous about associating with you. But the real pressure comes from knowing 50 is sitting on even more footage. Every time Ross tries to deny or explain something, 50 drops another clip that makes him look even worse. It's like 50 had cameras on Ross for years, just waiting for the perfect moment to unleash chaos. When Ross got wind of what was actually in those tapes, things really started to heat up, because it's one thing to hear rumors about what's in the footage, but it's another thing entirely to know there's actual video proof of everything you've been trying to hide. And Ross's reaction, that's when everything went from bad to worse. If you've ever seen a person getting arrested and the people being arrested in those BRLE houses, do they take out the stuff in the BRLE houses? No, they don't. They take the individuals who are being arrested out the BRLE houses for them to take bottles of baby oil. It's like that they did not leave. Well, one, they left people there, but they ain't leave not one bottle. Nobody needed no baby oil. So my whole thing about it is that there was something in that other than baby alicyl. That's why they took all the bottles. And 9 times out of 10, if I would give it a wild guess, it was, and like some of the people told me it was probably that GHB, what's that? I think it's gamma hydrohydrox. I looked it up, bro. Let me see if I can find it. I know this is it. This is just showing everything like that. Oh, no. Yo, somebody tap dance or sing or do something, you know what I'm saying, while I'm doing this. Oh, here we go, right here. It's gamma hydroxybic. What is it? Effect on the body. It's euphoria drues, decrease anxiety and memory impairment. It works on the nervous system and gives you this feeling of euphoria. So they take that and rub it on her, and you forget who you are, what you're doing. It can also give you memory loss, drowsiness, and it's under the Drug Enforcement Administration. When the notifications started blowing up everyone's phones at 2 a.m., no one was ready for what they saw. Ross wasn't just mad. He was goring scorched earth. Veteran PR experts were texting each other saying someone needs to stop him before he ruins everything. Ross's first response hit Instagram like a bomb. A 15-minute rant filled with threats and accusations that had his own team in a panic. He wasn't even trying to deny what was in those tapes anymore. He was straight up threatening 50's life. The way he was pacing in that video, looking like he hadn't slept in days, had people wondering if he had really lost it. Brought a new explosion. First, it was the voice messages he started sending to everyone who shared the video, threatening lawsuits, making wild accusations, and even bringing up old doubt no one was supposed to know. His team tried to do damage control, but Ross wasn't having it. He was on Instagram Live at 3 a.m., calling people out, exposing industry secrets, and making threats that couldn't be taken back. Things got messier. When Ross started dropping addresses, not just 50's known spots, but places where his family stayed, that's when his own people started distancing themselves. His activities with other, A-listers, having activities together is what this is. And again, that's a potentially outing of somebody as well. You know what I mean? There's so many things here that happen in releasing of this private, consensual moment that, while salaciously Everybody wants to know. And people are messaging me all the time, Andy, what you who's? And it's like, I'm not going to say, because there seem to be way too many things that these people in the tapes, whether consensual, whether they whatever, didn't agree to put out there. And I would think that's a legal issue too for anybody who puts these out first. No. Yeah, you nailed it. You can't without the consent of the victim. That's the problem. Somebody thinks that somebody has no idea, right? You said, well, didn't they know? They're being recorded. No, I mean, in these situations, the assumption is they did not know. And that's what we believe right now is the victims did not know that they were being recorded. If the victim comes out and says, okay, yes, I knew I was recorded, and a statement is provided, Ed, that's a different story. But of course you don't know that. So Andy probably can't be the one to break that ice and be like, well, this is what I heard and this is what I know, and so I'm going to say it. And is all kinds of hairy legal issues on that right, with privacy and intrusion, on seclusion is what we call. It's a privacy violation. There could be criminal implications. So you're doing the right thing by trading carefully, and I think more people should do this rather than get into speculation. Now, if you see the videos, even still, right? If somebody takes that, that's the question. Like, am I allowed to see these videos? Like, if I were to ask this source, show me the videos, do I put myself in worse legal jeopardy? That's another distinct legal issue, right? Is like, you're watching something that someone didn't know they were being recorded of doing, right? And so it's dicey. It's dicey. Now, it would be different if you were an attorney, and somebody's coming to you for purposes of defense or prosecution of a claim, a civil claim, or the filing, of some action to recover damages. That's a little different. But for purposes of, hey, look what I got, Juicy's gossip, and there are reporting outlets that I won't mention, that will do stuff like this. I don't know that it's the smartest thing to do. I don't know that it's the careful thing to do, that's for sure, or it's that it's the ethical or moral thing to do. Exactly. I'm not a lord. But maybe this source will show you, and then up these tapes. And even again, I don't want to get into the details, any remote details that could help explain or allude to even more of theories that are out there, or debunk or confirm. But I will say, hearing what I heard, which again isn't confirmation, but hearing what I heard, it makes me dislike what Ariel's doing even more, because I think there are going to be people out there, if this information does get out in some way, that are going to deny these people are victims, that they're going to try to say, oh, no, they're just consensually thing and they were hiding this affair and yada, yada, yada. And I don't see it that way personally. I mean, and granted, I haven't seen or know, like, this isn't somebody involved, from what I've gathered in these tapes of them, doing it to others in a way, criminally, like we've heard in some of these suits. This is just, it almost feels like, again, if it's real, like blackmail material that Diddy keeps to sort of hold over these people's heads. And to me, that's awful to the people in it. Whether they agreed or knew or whatever, it still just feels like that's no one's freaking business. And maybe they were doing it for reasons we don't know. Just because we saw on the tape doesn't mean they weren't feeling pressured in other ways, right? So it's a heavy and complicated thing, and but it's not a hard decision to say, I can't run with trying to even allude to who these people are. It sounds like the desperate moves started coming quick after. Ross's team scrambled to get those tapes removed, filing copyright claims like crazy. But 50 Cent had already made sure the footage was everywhere. There was no stopping it. In a panic, Ross started offering massive amounts of money to anyone who could help him find out who leaked the tapes. We're talking millions, enough to catch anyone's attention. He was desperate to uncover who had been secretly recording him. Okay. By the next morning, Ross had already broken several Instagram rules and had his account restricted 3 times. But instead of cooling down, he kept going, determined to control the narrative. Ross didn't just calm down. Instead, he went even further, creating new accounts and becoming bolder with each post. His lawyers were calling him nonstop, and his business partners were threatening to drop out of deals. But Ross just wouldn't stop. But when Ross started dragging other artists into it, that's when it really hit the fan. He began revealing all kinds of secrets: who didn't pay for their verses, who lied about their streaming numbers, and who had hidden deals they didn't want out in the open. It was like watching someone pour fuel on a fire, making everything explode. Their own house just to try and burn down the whole neighborhood. That's when the industry started splitting into teams. You had folks who'd been waiting years to see Ross get exposed, jumping in with 50 and adding their own stories. Then you had others trying to defend Ross, saying 50 went too far. But the way Ross was acting, he was making it real hard for anybody to stand with him, because when somebody starts threatening families and exposing everybody's secrets, that's when people have to pick side. And baby, those sides were about to shock everybody.